how do I condense down like 6 years of progress? So I was like full-time in this job, part-time in like physics classes. And I was looking at savings. I was looking at the cost of tuition for a year. And I was like, I can't do this. I'll do it. I'll be the blockchain guy. Like, let's do it. Let's go. It became clear to me, I want to do this for the rest of my life. This is my passion. From that point forward, it was a relentless pursuit of how do I make this my 100% focus. And so I cashed it and quit my job. I'm out.
Cut.
You have to want it.
Hello. We are back for another Meet the Makers. This is I was thinking about if we should do seasons, but not so sure about that. But we took a little break last year. We started up during Legends of Lightning, and we're joined today by a guest, a maker, a builder from since the inception of BOLT.FUN. Bryan is part of the ATL Bitlab crew, and they're always showing up. They're doing some amazing things. But Bryan, he is an amazing guy working on some awesome stuff. He nabbed the one of the tournament prizes, as I mentioned, and we're going to be having a chat today with him about some of his projects, the origin story. As you know, we really like to get in kind of deep with how do people become makers. And I'm going to welcome Bryan up here now. Hey, Bryan, what's up?
What's up? Thanks for having me, Johns. I appreciate it. You gave me quite the warm opening there.
How was the weather like over there?
It's actually a really crappy day. Really crappy day and raining, but a day to be a maker.
I think it's always a good time to be a maker. What I love about like this kind of like culture and stuff is that people just like, they're kind of relentless. It's like someone who says like, there's something that doesn't exist or that I want to try to make myself, to prove to myself, and they just do it. We had a little conversation before, and you were telling me about some of the first things that you were making. Can we tell the audience about that one? I thought it was kind of cool story.
Yeah, so rewind back to 2014, 15, 16. I was not a dev. I was not a maker, and I was working in marketing, and I was very unhappy with my career, my job, and I was working in affiliate marketing. So where I was posting all these ads for our brand all over these different websites, like you may have heard of Groupon or Retail Me Not or things like that. And part of that job was to basically monitor our competitors. What are our competitors doing so we can contextualize some of the progress we're seeing? Like, why did we have a bad performance week? And how do we report that to our marketing directors at the brand side? And it was a slog. I mean, every week I was like spending 20 hours taking screenshots, visiting like hundreds of websites, lots of different crazy deep links. It was awful. And I hated it. It was just like mind-numbing work. And at the time I just started to get into like taking a coding boot camp, and took two of them, took one in web dev, one in JavaScript. And I just like, out of those two, it became clear to me, A, I am good at this. B, I absolutely love this. And C, I want to do this for the rest of my life. This is my passion. And so I found this trifecta that I think most people are looking for their entire careers. And I was like, this is too big of a moment for me to watch this go by. So from that point forward, it was a relentless pursuit of how do I use this? How do I be this? How do I get into this? How do I make this my 100% focus? So I took it to my job, my manager, and there was just no roles for anything like that at the company. But that wasn't going to stop me. Like, I'm way too stubborn for that to hold me back. So I was like, screw it. I've got this problem and I've got these skills. And so I went in ahead and just wrote a bunch of HTML, JavaScript, basic stuff. I learned PHP in the process. Worked with one of the engineers at my company who was nice enough to spend some of her day and free time helping me learn, and built this whole thing that I called Edge Monitor. And basically it used like an API, and it pulled in screenshots, and I like took static links and stuck them in there. And so it turned this like, and then I rendered it all into a nice UI and was able to swipe through and click and download and send screenshots and give them to our the brand side so they could see what we're talking about and things like that. And so it took this job that was literally a part-time job. I mean, it's 20 hours a week, and it turned it into 1 hour a day. 7 hours a week, and then I could spend the rest of the time doing whatever I want, right? So then I'm like, oh, what else could I make faster, right? What else could I? And I was like hooked. It was like a drug. I was like, this is magic, right? This is amazing. And so yeah, that's kind of how I got into the making of things. And then I went on to do a couple other little things that I think is funny to mention. I ended up learning Visual Basic script. So like the VBA, Visual Basic for applications. And I automated processes. Like we had no automated process to like download our performance each week and send it to our business intelligence people. So I wrote some VBA and set up like a pipeline to basically like pipe in data for them. I mean, it's like all these stupid little things that just one by one saved me minutes at a time, hours at a time. So yeah, that's kind of the origin story. And it's been an interesting road. I can't believe it's been, gosh, what is that, 16? So it's been 7-8 years, or yeah, I don't know, bad math and I'm tired, but yeah, it's been many years and I can't believe looking back, that's where I came from.
That's amazing. And what I love about the story is like it is so practical as well. Because I mean, like you did you tell your boss that you had like created the script? Because like one option would just be like shut up and just be chilling.
Yeah, absolutely. So I told her that I wanted to do this. I was like, this is my passion. I want to do this. And she said, I can't help you get a job in it, but as long as you get your job done, I don't care what you do. She was like,
how you do it.
How you do it. She was like, if you can save yourself time, if you spend a couple hours building this tool at work, and then you turn around that same week and you produce everything I'm looking for and you did it faster. She was like, that's amazing. That's a manager's dream, somebody who is that driven and that passionate to care that much about something that arguably is not fun. It's not like something people care about. People like usually want to just do their job and get out. I'm like, how do I do this faster? How do I take back more time in my life? And so she loved it. So, and then, to be fair to me, I did end up eventually getting a job at that company as a web developer. So it ended up working out, right? But to your point, it's just who I am. I'm an extremely practical person. Like if I'm doing something, it has to have some net effect on my life or the people around me, or both, ideally. That benefits them and me and everything.
Did you expect the outcome to be that you would be basically creating your job for yourself at this company? Because they knocked you down. They said no, right? But you're like,
Yeah.
Okay, my relentlessness is going to actually I'm going to create my own job within this company.
That's right. That's a really good point, Johns. I had not even thought, I'd never considered it like that. That's crazy, but I did. I really did. I created a spot for myself because the role that I ended up getting did not exist before, and then they needed something. They didn't know what, and I just kind of fit in. So that's kind of cool. I hadn't really thought about that.
This automation aspect, it kind of fascinates me because like we do it all the time as like devs now. Like now in your career, you're like, oh yeah, I need to do this. Oh, let me automate it. Sometimes to our detriment, because if you only do the task once, then it's like,
Right.
What's the point of automating, right?
Right.
But that's a very interesting way to look at coding. It's like you may not have to like use it to like create a whole system and application or the next Facebook. You remember when that movie came out? Everyone wanted to build the next Facebook, but maybe it's just to make your like the mundane things that you're doing at your job. Maybe it's just to make it like a little bit more like efficient. And you get to save all your time, and maybe you find something that you end up liking. That's amazing. Thanks for sharing this story, man.
I appreciate it. Thanks for the forum.
You're working. You created this new job for yourself. You took it, and I guess you started moving on to like some other ventures and stuff after that. But then you end up, with the whole crew there with Stephen and stuff at ATL Bitlab. What was that journey to get to that point?
Oh my gosh, dude. All right. I've gotten so good at this because in job interviews, I got really good at basically how do I condense down like 6 years of progress into 5, like a minute or less.
We could do 2 episodes if you want.
No. I can do it. All right. So all right, I do that thing. I get hooked, right? I do a couple other little efficiency things and continue down this path. fast forward into 2018, I land this job that I created sort of for myself. And I do that for a year. And at the same time, I realized, I have all these credits from school. I could go back to school and get a CS degree, because at the time I was looking for a job in development and I couldn't find one. And I got told by a couple of recruiters, not having a CS degree was kind of working against me, plus not having a lot of experience. And I was like, that sucks, right? I don't want that to happen. So how can I do this? So I started going back to school full-time or part-time and working. And then I took on an internship as a software engineering intern. So I was full-time in this job, right? Part-time in physics classes and you know what I mean? Crazy stuff I hadn't touched in, 6-7 years at that point. And then working as an intern at a startup. And so that gave me the real world swagger to kind of understand how to build software, how to test software, things like that. And then I tried to take more classes once I moved to this web development job, and they wouldn't let me. They said, sorry, we can't. And none of the classes were at night, and they wouldn't let me take off from work part-time to go do that. And so I was really frustrated and kind of angry about that, and felt like I was getting cheated out of my dream, my passion, something I knew this is what I needed to do for the rest of my life. And so I spent a year stacking up those fiat bucks, and looked for the opportunity. And at the time, my grandmother was in her 90s. So she was 96 and she wasn't doing great. And it was, her time. And it was, of course, a sad moment. But out of, from ashes comes, new life, right? And so out of that, unbeknownst to me and my father and my mother, she had left me and each of my brothers bonds from the 90s that had fully matured, and they were denominated at the highest possible number that you can buy in to a bond, a double E savings bond. And it was more money than I had ever seen. Of course, on the grand scale of things, it was a very small amount, but I ran the numbers and I was looking at savings. I was looking at the cost of tuition for a year, and I was like, I can't do this. And then this happened, and I put that number in, and it was exactly what I needed to go back to school. And I was like, this is a sign. This is a sign from the universe, from God, whatever you believe in. That was the sign. And I was like, I got to do this. This has to happen. There's no other option. And so I cashed it and quit my job fully, which is I'm out, and went back to school and started taking classes. And I quickly ran into a problem where I thought I could take, 2700 and 3310 and 30 something all at the same time. It turned out they were all prerequisites for each other. So then I reran the numbers and realized I would have been in school for another 2 years, because I would have to take one. And I was like, I can't do that. So I emailed the head of the department at Georgia State and I literally make a case. I made a 5-paragraph case in the email as to why I should be able to take these classes all at the same time, right? And she fires back basically the canned response, they're built for a reason. We can't do that. And I literally respond back, and I'll never forget this. I wish I still had the email. I should have printed it. I responded back and I said, I understand all that, but I am literally begging you, please reconsider this. Please help me, because I need this. I need this to happen, and I only have a certain amount of time and money. And so she gave me this opportunity to take the final exam for a 2510, basically discrete math class. And if I got a B on that class, on that test, I could I didn't get to skip the class. I could take the class, and I could take all these other classes at the same time. So it's basically having to take an exam to basically take the class. I was like, what is happening? So I go in and I sit down with the professor, and she just I should call Dr. Glaboma over at Georgia State. I should call her sometime and thank her, because she did so much for me to help me basically pass that. She gave me all of the notes, everything I studied. I made a cheat sheet, all this stuff, and I passed, right? I got in. And so I was able to take 15 credits in the spring and I took 14 credits, 16 credits, 4 classes over a summer, which is murder. And then I took 20 credits over a fall and graduated with a 4.2 GPA, summa cum laude, honors, the things that I had never done. I had a communications degree and got barely a 3.0, right? And somehow I went to school and did the hardest coursework of my entire life, grinded for an entire year on this hope and a dream, this sign from God, and ended up doing the best that I've ever done. Got out of school, landed a job at NCR in the innovation lab, and that's where they needed somebody to be like a blockchain expert. And at the time, in those years, I had basically I had found Bitcoin, I had found crypto, right, all that stuff. It was fascinated by it, and was also trying to figure out how to break into doing that kind of work. And so I was like, I'll do it. I'll be the blockchain guy. Like, let's do it. Let's go. And so then, that's when shortly thereafter, Lightning really started proliferating, and I learned that and built some stuff, and then, moved over to where I am now, which is, over at Liberty Pay. So yeah, that's kind of the soup to nuts. It was longer than I wanted it to be, but some of those details were kind of fun to talk about. So I'm glad you gave me that.
I love it. That's amazing, man. Fuck.
It's kind of crazy, right?
I think the word that underlines this is conviction, because, many times we're going to be hearing, no, you can't. This is not the way, etc., etc. And we could say, it's part of Bitcoin philosophy to like be against it. And it is quite important and stuff. But on the human layer, like it's like, I don't know if you could teach these things, you just have to like someone has to connect with it. Someone has to connect with their passion, and you have to be like this. There is no other way besides this, and that, and you might not know how the path to get there exactly. There might be obstacles and whatever else, but if you have that conviction, which it definitely shows, it's some major kind of conviction there. Like that's the thing that keeps driving you, even when you hear the no's and when you say, oh, the rejections and all that. So
that's right. My dad would say is those are the unteachable fundamentals. More or less, like those are things that can't be taught. Those are, conviction or like work ethic, integrity, these like basic core fundamental principles on which you build your life and your career. And so, so I totally agree with you. Those are not teachable. They have to be self-taught, and you have to want it. You got to want it.
You gotta want it. Yeah. 100%, man. 100%. Damn. And well, okay. So now we're at like, you've gotten definitely your dream job at that point, right? You're like never expected to get here from my little PHP scripts that I was making. Anyway, first of all, I meant to say, you're making PHP scripts that connect to APIs. For my first project, bro, I was attempting to like do an include with PHP just so that I don't have to repeat the footer and the header in every page, right? It was like 2 lines of PHP. You're connecting to APIs and all that. That's crazy.
I was reaching high.
Damn, bro.
Reaching high. Yeah.
Shit. But okay. Well, one of the other projects that you started working on was this community space, ATL Bitlab, in Atlanta there. It went through multiple name changes. I really like it, by the way.
It was a good name. It was a little wordy, though.
You met some friends and you decided you want to build up a good community. We'll touch on that one just leading into like your recent winning project, Abbot. But I think it kind of like relates, so I wanted to do that segue.
Sounds good. Yeah. So after I spent some time at the lab, I was trying to figure out how do I learn more. I wanted more about Bitcoin tech. And that's when I joined like the BitDevs community and met Steven, and, around that shortly thereafter, like within the year, I remember Pleb Lab launched, and it was so exciting and everybody was super pumped and super cool to watch. And I remember thinking to myself, man, it would be awesome if we could do that in Atlanta. At the same time, Steven was having thoughts about what if we like got a physical space? What if we got like a hackerspace? And so we both met and came to this like realization that we were trying to do the same thing, just slightly different perspectives. I wanted to focus on how can we run it as a business, and he more so was just kind of like, how do we have a fun hangout spot, And so
it's so funny you say that, because that's literally the same dynamic we have in here at Hub 21. It's like, I'm like, okay, how's this profitable, guys?
How does this work exactly? What are we doing here? Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's and that's like a nice little note to make is like, I feel like that's a common experience of people trying to start these things. And so that's definitely part of the year. Part of the work this year will be trying to figure out how do you put that down? What does that look like in documentation so you can help people? Anyway, another time. But so yeah, so then we spin up and we named it something different. And I'm not, for the sake of congruency, I'm not going to mention that name. But but then yeah, we saw a little success. We had a couple people interested, a couple people just in the community wanted to donate just to be able to help us out. And then we got the opportunity to kind of move it up. We had this tiny little office back there and a couple desks, and we had this opportunity to get this bigger space. And we took a chance where Steve and I were kind of like fronting a lot of the money, and we put down some money as like investment, and we started an LLC and all of that. We figured out like why are we doing this? Why does this matter? All the hard stuff to figure out. And then we launched, right? And we saw a lot of good feedback from the community. A lot of people jumped on board. Now we have a thriving community of like 10 or 11 different people. Some of them are like, you rarely come in. Some of them are every day. And it's fun. It's like a family, where everybody, except we all build stuff together too. And we code together, and we go drink beers together and get dinners together. And it's been more than I could have ever imagined. I never knew we would make it to this point where we're like, have this little, physical space and all these people in this like cozy little warm community of friends and family. But I'm so super humbled to be here. And the fact that, so now it's ATL Bitlab, right? I buried the lead there, but yeah, so ATL Bitlab was the launch. And now, yeah, we're doing quite well. I see a lot of stuff on the horizon for 24, but yeah, that's kind of the inception of things for the Atlanta physical space community.
Amazing, man, amazing. And I guess through those learnings, so just by the way, you're like the best person to interview because I just dropped a question and you take it. I love it. I love it. And it's
I'm
just
glad
gold. It's gold.
I'm glad to hear that, because I was like, oh no, I'm talking too much.
No. This is gold. I love it.
Okay.
I love it because I'm
All
like
right.
usually the chatty one, so
Yeah,
I give my mouth a rest a little bit.
I
Um,
got you, bro. I got you.
thanks. So you've been attending our tournaments and hackathons even before they were called tournaments at BOLT.FUN, and you decided to enroll in our last two tournaments, right? We had an Australasia one and Legends of Lightning. So maybe talk a little bit about that experience. Like, why do you keep showing up, bro? I love it. Why?
We like you, Johns. We like you. No, but we do like you. We love the BOLT.FUN community. It's a great idea, and we want to see it survive and thrive and do well. And so I think we look at it as like, well, we can earn some Bitcoin. Like, that doesn't suck. You know what I mean? And then like B, we're already building stuff. Like, why not build stuff that actually, helps people is like open source and could be cool and whatever. And then C, it's been like this awesome experience to bond our community, right? So when we first started with you, coming to your tournaments, it was Shock the Web, and we won that one, first place. That was awesome, with like a parking app, like a lightning parking. And at the time, Steven, Alex, and I had won like 3 hackathons in a row, like back to back to back. We were like, let's go, dude. Like, we can't be stopped, It's so it was like super fun. And so then we kept just rolling, and then you just kept doing them. We're like, let's go, like, let's keep doing it. So then I think I submitted some projects to one of them that, unfortunately just time constraints didn't quite happen. But then fast forward to Australia and Volume 2, Legends of Lightning, we had the biggest showing in Atlanta from our community to date. So we've done, a series, as in Atlanta in conjunction with your tournament. And we would try and get people to come out and build projects. And it was always our goal to have Atlanta submit like multiple projects to one of your tournaments. And we just thought that would be the dopest thing ever. Like, yeah, ATL shows up, like, let's go. Like, we got like 4 projects. We're here to fuck shit up. Can I cuss? I just didn't.
Fuck it.
Fuck it. All right, cool. So then we called it hacker season, right? Because it was these 2-month long things. And yeah, so then I at the time had been working on like, how do we make our newsletter automated? And the way I did that was all of our stuff is on Telegram. So I built a Telegram bot, and I thought about talking about this in the pitch, but I shortened it because we only had 5 minutes. But the Abbot was really just like a admin tool, right? It was just a way to like have something passively listening in the channel, collecting all the data. And then in my DM with him or with it, I would just run a /command/summary and give it like a date. And it would start on that date, and it would go back 7 days and grab all the content from 7 days and condense it down into a little summary. And we stick in the newsletter, and that was it. Right. And it was really bad at doing that.
Why was it bad at doing that?
Yeah, it's a good question. So it was like good at condensing it and summarizing it. And it was really good at like picking names up and like giving us links and stuff like that. But a newsletter is like a special thing. Like it's a very specific type of content. So you have to like curate it. And Steven's like really good at doing it. So he would basically end up using that content, and then he would use the content to but like to get an actual newsletter template would have taken way more work. And it was just like you said, we're over automating something that we probably only do once a week. But then I realized I was like, I have this access point directly to an AI model, and it's using a chat interface that all of our community is on. What if we built like a little like helper, when people ask like where to park, it'll just send a link, or like, where's the meetup? Like, here's the link. And it just evolves, right? Next thing I knew, it was like, it had a personality, and he had a face. We gave him a name, right? And that just came, like, it just started like tumbling. And now we got to this point where, yeah, he's like a software tech bro, a Bitcoin maxi. Like, he's always like using like no cap and base. Like, he's like a Gen Z or something. It's hilarious. And then we launched him at TabConf last year, and the response from like the broad community was insane. Like, I did not expect it at all, and people loved it. They were just like vibing with it so hard because it just felt like somebody who was just like your buddy sitting next to you, like saying like quirky things. And so then we were like, all right, well, we're gonna do these hackathons. Let's do it. So we onboarded him in Noster. Unfortunately, we didn't get to launch it just because of time constraints, and that just happens, but it's still on the roadmap. And then we did, the Legends of Lightning, and we're able to get that done. And so now he's in a very stable state. That's my son, my son. He's growing day by day.
Into the world.
I'm so proud of him.
Yeah. Just make sure it doesn't become like our AI overlord, okay? Because
so just yesterday, I was in a chat with like a couple people, and I added him because we're doing some chain code stuff, and we wanted to have like the Bitcoin resource with us. And he was like responding too often, and I was like, all right, bro, like calm down, like, you're being annoying, pissing me off. And so I ran /stop, and then he didn't stop. I was like, yeah. And then it was, and of course it was a bug, right?
Well, hey, that's what they called. Maybe not. Who knows? Maybe it was a feature or a bug.
That's right. He took self-sovereignty.
Okay, it's for us, not for you. I don't know.
That's right.
Man,
but
that's amazing. So what's it like your future plans with it before we close off here?
Yeah, so I have a Notion doc, and it grows daily. It's literally, I had to make a whole separate project for Abbot. And so there's all kinds of stuff in there. Like, I would love to add some more features to be able to control things like Miami. They're using it. Miami is using it, and they're location based, but he's going to talk a lot about Atlanta. So I'd love to give the organizers some commands so they can edit things like, where is your Abbot, right? So that he's talking about Miami and not about Atlanta. That's some like more user experience things on like the business side. I'd like to just scale it. Like my goal is to like get it out there. And I just actually released a new feature I'm calling Unleash. And so if you're in a group chat and you add him and you run the Unleash command, you can basically tell him every 5 messages that get sent, I want you to chime in, just say something. And he's following the conversation, so it'll be super relevant. And so that was what I think the magic was before. And I put that on pause to get it done and get it across the finish line for Legends of Lightning. So that's been launched. And what I did was, because everybody who's already added him is opted in, I just basically said, went into the database and changed all their things to unleash. So now when people are just like interacting, he'll just start popping in. And so what I'm hoping is, as he does and they start to spend their balance, they'll start to top back up and we'll start to see some, on ramp and people really getting value out of it. And then, that'll help us pay our bills because, we are paying an OpenAI bill on the back end. So that's the immediate goal. Long term, again, there's just like a whole list of features on Notion. And I put some of them on GitHub. So if anybody sees this and you're a dev and you want to help, please God, go to GitHub, hit me up on Telegram, hit me up on BOLT.FUN. We connect and let's work together because that would be awesome.
In some way, we've kind of come full circle now because Abbot itself is a kind of like an automation kind of tool. You seem to be driven to those ones a bit.
I really am. I hadn't really put that together. So you just said that right now. Sorry, let me. I got like a thing on my screen. I need to get away because it's distracting me. But yeah, I am driven to the automation tools. Anything that will like take a process and just take me out of it. I want to fire myself, Johns, constantly. I want to be fired.
And then you keep making things. So you got to be there. The human beings, the incredible human beings that are making things, are still important in the world. So let's not just digitize. Or I don't think it's possible to digitize everything anyway. And I really am inspired by your conviction. And we're definitely going to be in touch again on another episode. We'll be checking in. We'll talk about the community partnership between ATL Bitlab and BOLT.FUN. We have a lot of development conversations to have about Abbot as well. I got plans for Abbot, some stuff I need automated as well.
I got you, bro. He's got you. Sorry, he's his own man. He works for SaaS.
Don't misgender. All right, relax.
That's right. I don't know what his pronouns are, but I'll ask him. He'll see what he wants.
Thank you so much, Bryan. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you. Likewise. Ciao.